Mute.
So good morning. We have with us is Mrinal, a LLM, University of Cambridge, BA LLB Honors Gold Medalist, Jindal Global Law School. That's all for us what Mrinal is. Let's hear from her.
Hi, good morning, Alicia. Thank you so much for welcoming me into this session. My name is Mrinal. I graduated from Jindal in 2018. I was one of the first students of the BBA LLB batch when it started back in 2013. And I don't know what else to say, but Jindal simply changed my life. And it's genuinely an honor today to come back and speak to the current students of Jindal and empower whatever wisdom I've gained for the past few years in this profession, 10 years now, 5 years student and 5 years in practice. So I'm very excited to speak with you today. And I hope whatever I say here, big or small, I can help you guys out.
So this session, since it's all about navigating a career in law firm, what is law firm and why law firm? There are so other career opportunities as well, but why should students opt for law firms?
I'll say why not law firms, firstly. Law firms are these big structures. There are different tiers of law firms in India. There are tier 1 law firms, a few of them that I've worked with. There are tier 2 law firms. All these firms have accumulated a lot of clients and a lot of capital over the past few years. One of the oldest law firms in India is 100 years old, which is also broken down into fragments. But, the practice, the client base, the kind of transactions that happen there and the kind of matters that come in, they're very nuanced, and these are structures which have been running for so many years. So law firms have a big repository of clients, and you go and work with them as retainers, and you get paid. So law firms are a good start for a legal career option. I feel unlike other fields in which lawyers can incentivize, let's say litigation, which is not very well paid in the very beginning, I feel law firms definitely pay you very well and make sure that you're financially independent after a solid education from a university like Jindal.
Right.
And also, like, it gives you exposure into what law is, how the transactions that you read in newspapers or you read on bar and bench actually happen, and how different fields in law work, from general corporate M&A to private equity to competition law to banking and finance. How do companies how do these big clients actually govern their cases is what law firms teach us.
All right. And see, when it comes to law, that legacy still continues. One should go into litigation.
Absolutely.
How does litigation differ from law firm?
I think litigation is obviously that so-called hardcore legal practice. And I feel whoever is litigating, it's a matter of privilege for them, because seeking an education from a university like Jindal and actually going and populating the law courts is not only like raising your value, but also raising the value of the courts, because we definitely need a lot of educated lawyers and a lot of lawyers who have deep insights into the subject matter of law in our court systems. But there are a lot of challenges for anybody, especially girls, especially first generation lawyers who are trying to, make their name for themselves in litigation. It's not an easy market to cut. It is very, very difficult to get your own clients. So
you're saying procurement of work is a task?
Procurement of work is a task, especially if you're like a first generation lawyer, working under somebody and getting trained under somebody for a few years, not getting compensated at a good level. A lot of seniors in Delhi and Bombay pay well, but at the same time, if you're somebody like me who hails from Ludhiana, comes from a completely different city, and today I'm working in Bombay, to even afford rent if I was a litigator would have been a big task. So I feel that's something that has worked in for me when I joined the firms. And obviously, we'll talk about the subject matter, what firms are like, what is the culture like in depth further. But at the same time, if you're somebody who's passionate for litigation, you should definitely take it up. We need smart, educated lawyers in our courts. And if you're passionate for litigation, it's going to happen for you, but it will take like 5 to 10 years to get there.
From the student's perspective, and me coming from the similar fraternity, I wanted to understand, even lawyers from law firm go and practice. They also appear in court. Where does the major difference comes into picture? Procurement, reward, they are two bigger factor that always comes in everybody such organization. Where does the major work difference come?
So basically, there are different practice areas, if you come down to law firms, as I was saying before, like I specialize in corporate law, M&A, and private equity. So I work with, acquiring businesses, selling businesses for clients, and with listed and unlisted entities, how they can, how they basically work, how they merge, how they demerge. That's the practice area that I do. Then the other practice area, which is obviously a very high revenue practice area, is banking and finance, how banks work, what does the back end work on a regulatory capacity, how NBFCs work and stuff like that. So it's a highly regulated sector. And obviously there is a big chunk of matters and equity that a firm gains through litigation. And that practice area is crazy because it also includes arbitration. It also includes you going and briefing a lot of senior lawyers. Some lawyers can appear, from a firm in the court, but that's rarely the case. You're basically briefing counsels, who go brief seniors and those seniors, will fight matters for you. So that's what happens in the litigation practice area. And obviously now, in each and every contract that we see, there is an arbitration clause. So, arbitration is something that happens rarely, but is also something that a lot of lawyers who choose the litigation way, they in a firm, that's something that they deal with. So it's not like that you're not going to be in the court, maybe not in a similar capacity, but at the same time, if you reach that level of, being a partner, a litigation partner in a firm, I think it's a very good career trajectory to follow.
So how do a student build a profile to get into a law firm? Understanding that they have, their own assignment pressure, their classes and this and that. In mid of all that, how do one build a profile good enough to appear on those A-listed series on 0 day? What do one student do?
That's a very heavy question, but at the same time, I just feel first and foremost, be confident. I feel being confident is like half the battle won. If one way doesn't work for you, there's always another way. And that's what you need to realize as a lawyer, that, you have to try and knock all doors possible and do stuff. But getting into technicalities of it, I feel first and foremost, if you're a good student, if you have a good GPA, let's say if you have a GPA above 6.57, obviously Jindal is super competitive. Everybody's really smart. They're getting 8 on 8. So that's difficult. But if you have a good GPA, that's really, really nice. The other thing is Bar Council has regulated a lot of, for us to do a lot of internships. Try and get an internship with a law firm. Try and see if, this is something that you can do for like 8 to 10 hours minimum each day. Try and get that exposure. It's sometimes not that easy to get internships. Then reach out to the alumni network. I feel people are more helpful than they're not, like if you reach out to people, it's really surreal to see, at least in my case, like my seniors and, even like people at very high positions in firms were super helpful. Approach the OCS in Jindal, see how it works. But it comes down to scoring well, doing extracurricular activities which excite you, mainly publishing. But most important is, trying and like doing a lot of internships in firms, trying getting that access, writing to HRs of different firms, and maybe interning with different teams. So you also have an exposure of the firm culture and of the practice area and the subject matter that you'll be, taking up. So that's the first step for you to gain access to the 0-day thing. And I feel academics is still on the top and internships are the second most important thing. With respect to constructing your CV, I always say this to whoever comes and approaches me. Please refer to a good guide. There are a lot of like sample Harvard CVs, which are just online. So Harvard sample CV, just see how, articulate they are, how nuanced they are, and how crisp they are. So I think follow that guide and like make your CV and be prepared. Be prepared. I think coming to 0-day is the second question that I'd like to answer. You have to be prepared with the basic laws. Whatever you learned in your CV, you have to be prepared with respect to that. Your basic contracts, your basic company law, tax law. These are all the subject matters that are usually questioned. Very basics. Just know the subject that you studied. And yeah, I think getting to 0-day would not be that difficult for you then.
Let's go by pointers. Now, how you mentioned that academics are very important. Your profile clearly stars as a gold medalist. What made you a gold medalist?
I was a very, very average student in school, yeah. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was a science student in 11th and 12th. I really hated it. But what it gave me was a lot of discipline. And yes, I definitely graduated with a gold medal, but I've seen being the student who comes first from last. Literally, like I've like experienced that as well. And once I came in law school, I gained the insight that finally I'm getting to do something that I genuinely enjoy and I love. And I just gave it my all. And I attended all classes, and it wasn't like a burden for me because I was genuinely enjoying it. I feel more than even practice, I enjoyed being a student a lot. And Jindal, the professors there, a lot of my Cambridge classmates are like teaching in Jindal right now. So, the faculty is just mind-blowing. So having that kind of exposure at a very young age, I was just 17 when I came to college. And really, really loving the subject is what drove me to do well. And obviously, you build skills. Again, coming back to the fact that I came from Ludhiana, I wasn't that confident. So it was a lot of mentorship, a lot of professors who really helped me be confident, from practicing how I speak in front of the mirror to like reading, getting that phobia out of public speaking from my system, and writing a lot, learning how to draft, learning how to write and be passionate about things, taking electives that I liked. That kind of helped me. But yes, I did have a vision when I entered college that I've seen enough of being at the back. Now I want to be on the top. And yes, I worked hard for it.
So your passion and hard work brought you where you are.
Absolutely. I'm not like gifted genius for sure. Like there are a few people, my own sibling is like that. But yes, I tried my best and I persevered and I worked really hard.
So how you said academics, then is internship. What kind of internship one should do to, make that CV very lucrative for a law firm interview,
I feel from the very start, like it's very important to do internships. You
Right.
really get exposure. My first internship was like in a sessions court. I really got to learn what law is actually like. So I feel that was great exposure. With respect to law firms, I feel you should start in your second year. Try and get, a position as a researcher in a law firm internship. And then once you keep studying subjects, like I think by second year, you studied contracts. So, basics. Once you progress, once you study company law and stuff, then start getting like these hardcore tier 1, tier 2 law firm internships. And then if you're even interested in different wings, obviously it depends on vacancies, and it's a submission of a lot of other factors. but at the same time, try and approach it from a manner that you want to learn. That'll be much better. And then once you're there, try and interact with associates at firm, senior associates, try and interacting with partners and see if this is the path that you want to follow. Getting access and getting your foot in the door at once is difficult, but navigating it from there is actually the real task. I feel in my scenario, the OCS, the erstwhile CDPD, which used to be, was very, very helpful in getting internships. I don't know right now because obviously the student strength has increased, but maybe just writing to a senior, DMing me on LinkedIn or, somebody like me who's working in a firm, people are more helpful than they're not. So just write to us and maybe, we can help you out with internships or getting you access to email addresses of HRs. I know of a scenario in which in my previous firm, like the competition law team in that firm was amazing. I met a junior from Jindal and I felt so nice. And she just I looked up to this partner so much because she's been such a pathbreaker in competition law. And I just wrote to her and she gave me an internship. So just simple cold calling. Not all of us come from contacts. Not all of us have access to all these big places and, big names. But at the same time, sometimes just being innovative and thinking out of the box can get you to places. So
like you said, networking requires a good LinkedIn account. Networking can be done through LinkedIn account, one email.
Absolutely.
What are the other means? I mean, how can they understanding? So there are two races at Jindal. One who are coming from a legal background, the other which is not coming from legal. For them, for those first impression, what is the means of networking for them?
I mean, just unfortunately, law is a profession in which you kind of have to be a bit extroverted, especially when you're trying to get access to opportunities. Write to people. If you're in the same city, ask them, say to them, maybe can we get a coffee and I want to discuss my career options. If you're working in a firm, if you're interning with them, ask an associate who's assigned you work. Just let me know if you want to grab a cup of coffee sometime. Write to people, ask them that, I'm really confused about, let's say, my master's application or how to prep for interview. Would you be able to spare 10 minutes and help me out? I'm your junior from college. These are the things that would set you apart eventually. And I genuinely believe that your network is your net worth. And Jindal has given us a very good network, from our classmates to our seniors. I feel now, 5 years down in the profession, I feel that I can just approach a classmate of mine and ask them a doubt in criminal law, tell them that, please, I have this friend who's a junior, please, get them an internship here with yourself, and it will happen.
It works.
People do try for you.
It requires a little effort and it do work. I mean, it's not.
I feel what it genuinely requires is the drive and that self-motivation. And if you have that, nothing's impossible for you.
All right. So coming down to that, then you said extracurricular. Extracurricular, you mentioned publications. One, we would want to know a little about publication, if you've done during your course, and what except publication they can pursue in terms of extracurricular.
I feel publication is not that important for getting firm access. It'll add value to your CV if you want to apply for masters and stuff. But if you've specifically written on a topic that you're interested in, for example, if you've written something on corporate law, then you will obviously have an interview point to discuss regarding the emerging trends in corporate law, or some issue that you've written which was prevalent recently. It would really help you, in your interview, and then you will run the conversation and you will tell about your research than the other person. The other activity that could help, maybe a few moots. Maybe when you've done work which is super research oriented, it could help. Maybe a few negotiation competitions could really help you, because as corporate lawyers, we do face, lawyers on the other side of the boardroom in a lot of different negotiations. So, that might help. So all these skills plus having a few interpersonal skills can take you a long way.
So I think all the pointers that you've mentioned is the right way to how your CV should be aligned.
Yeah.
Now, CV is just the first stage. Post CV, we have group discussions followed by interview. Could you please enlighten us on that a little?
So I feel group discussion is a very pivotal part. Not all firms do it, but a lot of tier 1 firms have group discussion. My advice in group discussions would be, try and be as rational and less emotional as possible, because they're going to get on, a very heavy political topic in front of you, or a topic which demands controversy. And what is important at that moment is to be very neutral and think rationally from a standpoint of a lawyer and not a human being, not a person, but as a lawyer. So it's very important to have a neutral but yet strong opinion, and like a bit non-political, especially in group discussions. And it's important to not have the strongest, it's important not to have the loudest voice but the strongest point. So don't be loud, give other people a chance, and when given the opportunity, then speak. Don't interject people. I feel that that's just a turn off. Yeah. So be nice to each other and raise points which are pivotal rather than raising your voice. I feel that's what my experience has been. And I really look for people who, sometimes people are not as extroverted, not as good as public speakers, which is completely okay. But if you raise a nuanced argument, that's always appreciated. Firms are always looking for intelligent kids.
And what about the interview? What are they looking from the freshers?
Interview is a tough gig to crack, especially if you're like interviewing for the first time. I remember when I interviewed for the first time, I just remember my palms being so sweaty. Like I was genuinely nervous. So first advice to anybody who's trying to enter the interview, listen to like a song that pumps you up and gives you tons of confidence, and go with that approach. Think of it as not an interview but as a conversation where they're asking you questions. And there's a turning point in every interview where an interview turns into a conversation, and that's when you've won. That's when that maybe if I even don't get a job, these people will stay in my network. And always approach things as that there'll be a lot of opportunities that come your way, and in a lot of opportunities you might fail, but at the same time, take whatever you can, write to them after the interview, ask the people that what happened in the interview, where was it right, where was it wrong. People will offer constructive criticism. But as a first timer, you have to be prepared with the basics of all the important laws that they might ask. You need to know the background of the partner, what kind of practice areas, they practice in. So for example, if it's a partner who's doing project finance, then just go on Legally India or Bar and Bench and just see the kind of transactions they've done before. What are the public transactions? Try and study, do a bit of research, dig deep into their work and understand what they want, understand what are they expecting you to do if they are going to hire you in the team or if they are going to hire you in the firm. And be prepared a lot with whatever you've done in your internships and whatever you've written in your CV. That's point one of contention. Sometimes you do something in your CV and you've done it like in the first year, but they might ask you a question on that. So just be prepared on whatever is written on your CV. That's a very important point. And be very courteous. If you're feeling a bit underconfident, have water, take deep breaths. It's more about navigating your brain than it's about answering the question. Don't be nervous. They want you as much as you want them. They are interviewing you because they've seen a spark in your application. If you've reached till that stage, have confidence and kill it. Just it's about making sure that your voice doesn't tremble when you answer. That's all.
So this is what you've told us from a student's perspective.
Correct.
Understanding it, what are the expectations from the other side of the table? What are the law firms expecting from the students?
Law firms are expecting people who can put on blinders, look into their laptop and work super hard for 8 to 10 hours each day or more. And that is the dedication that this profession requires, at least in the beginning, and I think even until the end. So somebody with a very strong work ethic, somebody with a good brain, obviously, but somebody who's open to learning and open to criticism and doesn't take it personally, and is, driven to make a career. It's not only about going there, getting there. You can be smartest kid in the, in your class, or somebody who has a gold medal, or somebody who's done a great master's, but you might not have the dedication or the rigor to work with a firm. You might not have that attention span. So they are looking for somebody who can really help them decrease the workload that they already have. So it has to be a reliable and confident person, and somebody who takes responsibility. Because, the difference between working in a law firm as a lawyer versus interning is that now you're a lawyer. So
Right.
you have a responsibility towards your clients equally as much as your senior might. So your name is going on a particular draft, and the draft has to be really good. And if you're preparing some documents, they have to be at par with the firm. So you have to learn all these tricks and trades. But if you're driven, if you're diligent, and if you can work hard and work for long hours, that's something that a firm is looking for.
The moment you said that someone who can put, blinds, which
Blinders on here and focus.
that didn't hit me. What hit me was that long working hours. So I wanted to understand, someone who's working in a law firm, is that person able to maintain the work-life balance? Is that too consuming? What is it? How is it? Students.
I hope nobody sees this from my office, but I feel it's a task, to be very honest with you, especially in the first 2-3 years, which are the years where you actually are that horse with blinders. It's really, really difficult. It gets very challenging for juniors and students who've just come out of like their college life and have have had a ball in the 5th year and have so much fun from Biswa meal to Magnus for our juniors. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's quite challenging. But you have to see the bigger picture and see where you want to stand in this profession in the next 10 years. Always have that idea. And some of us are also very immature when we start working. We don't know what we're really doing, which is all right. Give yourself the benefit of doubt. But at the same time, like, just know that, yes, there is a bit of a compromise on your personal life, but that's work generally. Just give it time. And the thing about our profession and mostly all professions is that it compounds over time. What I did 3 years ago, I've gotten better at it. And in the next 15 years, I'll be the best at it, if I keep working and striving hard to do that. So when things compound, the draft that took probably 3 years for you to make in the first year would take maybe like an hour, So over time you learn, and just know that there is a margin of error and there's a margin of understanding and appreciation. And eventually you're going to be fine. Eventually you will strike that balance. Don't be scared. Take support. If you're in a firm and your mental health is suffering, ask your bosses. Tell your bosses, I need some time out, and keep taking tiny breaks. Travel if you can. Go meet your family. So all these things, it's not only about firms. I think it's just about corporate culture in India generally. It is a bit consuming, but you have to keep the larger picture in mind. For me, how it's worked is that I keep taking breaks in the middle. I have taken breaks in the middle of jobs. I've taken a break after my Cambridge degree, and I keep taking tiny breaks. So that's how it's helped me to balance it out.
Okay, so there's this thing, it has to be tier 1 law firm. That's what everybody aspires for.
Wow.
But can there be a success when someone who couldn't get through tier 1 should be the disheartened? And there are so many students who get so disheartened when they don't make it to 0 day. Understanding firms has a certain capacity and they'll be taking a certain amount of students only. What should be the next step forward?
Listen, firstly, like, obviously there's like this big structure. Even in the UK, if we see, there's this like magic circle firm, but then there are also city law firms. If you think about London itself, here, obviously there are tier 1 firms, but then there are other law firms as well. There is high quality work happening everywhere. Everyone has a dedicated client base. Everyone has clients who go from one place to another place and do forum shopping. So please don't be disheartened if you don't get into the tier 1 firms and if you don't get that so-called tier 1 tag. Great work is happening everywhere. And if you want to make a mark, you can make it from a firm which is small as well. I know of so many people who used to work and be partners at tier 1 firms, and now they've started their small firms and they're doing excellent work with excellent clients, biggest MNCs, biggest tech giants. The exposure is the same, the quality of the work product is the same, but the rigor is different because, they're starting something of their own. So just know that if you're working with the tier 2 firm, you're part of something bigger than yourself because you have a lot to prove to. And please don't be disheartened if you don't make it to a 0-day interview, or if you're, not getting that internship that you really want. There's always a second option. If a door that you knock on, it says no, it says no to your entry, there's always another door that you can knock on. So just be driven and just know that You're going to try your best, and it's okay to fail, but trying is really important. And, being persistent in your trying is very, very important. And please don't be worried if you don't get into a tier 1 law firm. Tier 2 law firms are doing exceptional work. Tier 3 law firms are doing exceptional works. And if you still aim to be at a tier 1 firm, eventually after working with a tier 2 or a tier 3 law firm for a year or 2 years, it will give you a bigger step to step on to like a tier 1 firm circle. It's much more easier.
I was wondering, once they clear the interview, now which practice area to choose? Is there, because students are freshers, they've studied everything. What practice area would you suggest that, one should opt for, and how should one opt for a practice area, to be precise?
Absolutely. I feel this is a very important question. I feel hit and trial is the method to go. There are a lot of firms, a few tier 1 firms that I clearly remember who hire directly on 0 day. Then they have schemes for 2 years in which they put you in a different practice area for six months each. And that's a great way to explore on what you want. One day you can try something, another day you can try something else, and it's great. If you don't have that opportunity, and if you're lateral hire like me, I got inducted into a law firm directly after my master's, so I didn't have that opportunity to do forum shopping. But at the same time, I had a lot of exposure through my internships. I understood what I'm getting into, and I had that knowledge. I knew what kind of hours they're going to be. So I feel interning is very important, and liking the underlying product is very important. There are practice areas which are so evolved, which are thriving and evolving each and every day. Let's say fintech. It is such a new emerging practice area. Something like TMT, which is technology, media. All of these are evolving practice areas. Competition law was not even a practice area 20 years ago, and right now it's thriving. The equity that practice area, those 2 sections in Competition Act are bringing to a firm is much more than a lot of other practice areas as well. So understand what you're expected to do, understand the kind of work that you're expected to do, and that will only happen with practice. And it's okay if you enter a practice area in a firm and then try and drift into another one if you like it. There are obviously those opportunities. But first, the ambition should be to get your foot inside the door.
Now that their foot is inside in the law firm, it's a different life altogether. They've always been in a cocoon, and law firm is a different professional world they're getting into. How to survive there? What would you suggest to our students? Should they ask for a mentorship? And let's hear from you. What do you have to say on that?
It's a very political question again. I'll try and not be diplomatic. I won't say it was easy for me as well. It is a difficult environment sometimes. Sometimes you're in a team which is hyper competitive, and sometimes you're in a team which is just super nice. And people are genuinely sweet and they gel along. And just know that your teammates and your partner, these are the people you're going to spend a lot of time with. These are the people you're going to spend more time with than your parents, your partner, your boyfriend or girlfriend, so you have to understand the dynamics of your team, and you have to learn and navigate these people relationships as well. And you have to have a very good relationship with your boss. These are the few things that I've learned. Obviously, it can get taxing sometimes, but then voice your concerns. That's also important. And one more thing that I say, sometimes you have a great boss, like I do currently. I love my boss. Sometimes you don't have that amazing a boss. I think something that I have done for myself is not take anyone's BS, not at all, and always stand for what I believe and stand my ground. Maybe it's not that diplomatic, but it's good in the longer run. And eventually, once you navigate through the profession, you will find the right people to work with. And one of the partners in a firm that I used to work with told me one thing: there has to be 3 things that you have to see in a job. 1, how's the pay? How's the people that you work with? That's the second point. And 3, the kind of work you do. Even if 2 things are satisfied in this, you're good to go. That's the kind of job that you should choose. And if out of these 3 things you satisfy any 2, please go for it. And rest you learn with age and maturity.
I think we've had enough on our plate for today. But is there anything that you would, if you would want to sum up for the students, This is something that a piece of advice coming from you for them, especially for first year who join. For them, campus is also a new place.
Yeah.
How to navigate it through. Any last minute advice for the students?
Oh my God, guys, I miss being a first year law student. I miss being so innocent and naive. I really miss it. For all you guys who are just in law school, work hard. Do your best if law is something that you want to do. Your parents have invested a lot in this education of yours. Please value that. But at the same time, have a lot of fun. You're never going to be this carefree again. Once you start working, life really hits you from all places. You have to be an adult. You're forced to be that. Have fun. Keep it easy. Be light. Don't take anything too much to your head. And just enjoy each day as it is. I would die and I will give up anything to go back to Jindal, live for one day with my roommates in my hostel room, and just chill the whole day and do nothing after classes and just sleep in our bed and just chit chat and have fun. And have that classroom experience with the same people that I grew up with for 5 years. Now we only get to meet at weddings, which is kind of good, kind of bad. But once all the weddings are done, I don't know when it's going to happen. Have fun, make good relationships, and learn a lot. Have that attitude for learning. Rest, if there's anything, we're all here for you as your seniors. Reach out to us. We'll help you guys out, navigate how much ever we can, dedicate the time onto this. Don't be afraid of anything. If one thing doesn't work out, another thing is bound to work out. You're not going to fail if you keep trying. Don't give up on your dreams, and dreams keep changing. If law firm is your dream right now, maybe tomorrow it's not. Maybe, you end up being an entrepreneur, opening something of your own, or, want to make that career shift after 5 years of being in the profession. Give yourself the chance to do that. And follow your passions on the side with managing your finances. So, and especially for girls, I feel girls who come from tier 2 cities or tier 3 towns, it's going to be fine, girls, for you. And you guys are going to be absolutely good, and just know the sky is the limit.
Before I wrap up, I generally don't mention, but there's always a learning. Post every talk, I feel that there's always a learning. And what I'm taking away from you is your spirit, your confidence.
Thank you so much.
And I would tell this to students also, that this is what really, that's all you require. The passion and spirit, that's all you require, and you're good to go.
Thank you so much. I feel it's all to do with the kind of people you surround yourself with, good energies, and try and be optimistic. I know it's hard sometimes, especially with the things that happen around us all the time. But you're never going to lose, man. Like, don't worry. If you're here, if you've come till Jindal, you have the kind of resources, the kind of support system that you need. Obviously everybody has issues here and there in their personal lives as well. But at the same time, an educated professional like you in a country like India cannot be unemployed. Just always know that.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Right. So just know it, and then approach things with that spirit.
Yeah. Such a pleasure talking to you, Mrinal.
Thank you so much, Alicia. This was my pleasure.
And I'm hoping to see you on campus. Try and make it 26. Try and make it on 26. I'll be so happy to see you here.
Yes, same here. I'm going to try my best as well. Thank you so much to everyone in Jindal. Please have fun. Take care of campus. Treat Sodexo staff well. Treat everybody well. Please. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the talk. Bye.
We can stop the recording.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.